we will start now. Thank you everyone to join us. And on the behalf of Macquarie University Alumni Network, I would like to welcome you all to join us to this webinar. And also to our distinguished speakers, thank you again to join us and to share your experiences regarding women in leadership on the occasion of this International Women's Day. Before we can jump in directly in our subject, as a housekeeper, I need to inform you that this webinar is recorded, so that if you don't want to see yourself online, so please just turn off your camera, and everything will be okay. Another information, we will last 1 hour during this webinar. And please, if you have any question, remarks, or observations during the discussion, you can just send us your question through the dedicated discussion space. As an introduction regarding the gender equality, I would like to say that we all observe that we have some progress on gender equality, because we see more and more women being leaders, not only countries, but also international organizations. I'm taking the example in Africa, the former President Shirley Johnson. In Australia, the former Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Actually, in Germany, we have Angela Merkel, for examples. And also, we have for international organization at the IMF, Christine Lagarde. And more recently at the World Trade Organization, we have the new General Director, Dr. Gonzi Okonjo-Iweala. So there's examples of the progress that we're seeing and we can observe, but on the other hand, we know that this is not enough. There is a room to improve, and we are not yet close to the gender equality. And so therefore, we need to address some of the difficulties and situation that we're seeing. For example, in terms of salary gap in France between men and women, we know that there is a 30%. This situation needs to be addressed. And to discuss all of this topic, I would like to introduce you our moderator for today, Lady Ngomang Epesse, who is not only a woman rights expert, but she's also the president of the jury 2021 Simone Veil Committee. Lady, I'm handing to you, and you can introduce our distinguished speakers. Lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your introduction, and thank you for having me moderating this webinar. And congratulations to the man you are, having even the idea of having such a subject, because it's not necessarily obvious. And well, I would like to also greet everybody who's connected, and men mostly, just for the very same reason I've just said. Now, let us see if you agree with that, to start with you, Your Excellencies, Mrs. Gillian Bird, Australia's ambassador to France, with non-resident accreditation to Algeria, Mauritania, and Monaco. For your 3 minutes introduction speech, we are listening to you. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. And look, it's a great pleasure to be with everyone tonight. And I really want to thank the organizers for this opportunity for us to celebrate International Women's Day with colleagues and friends of us here in France. And it's great to be on a panel with Madame LAKRAFI, who I haven't met before, and 2 of my fellow ambassadors here in Paris. We unfortunately don't get to see one another much these days, so I'm really delighted to meet them virtually. I think that many who are online tonight are French Macquarie alumni, and you might also be members of the Embassy's Australia-France Alumni Network, which we put together in 2012 to help try and bring together French nationals who've studied in Australia. So if there's anyone out there who's not a member of that network, it's about 400 at the moment, and the largest number is from Macquarie. So if you're not on that network, please let us know. We'd love to sign you up. On a personal note, I should mention that while I'm not a Macquarie University alumni, my mother is, and I think it's a very fitting story for International Women's Day. So basically, my mother waited until her 4 children had all finished high school, and then she decided that she too wanted to go to university. She saw all of us going off to university. And luckily, Macquarie University, at least back then, had a wonderful mature age student program. So she got her high school certificate qualifications, she enrolled at university, and she eventually graduated with a Bachelor of Arts, a BA, and it was one of the proudest moments of her life. I mentioned that anecdote really, not just because a personal anecdote, but it really underscores the importance of education for girls and women. And tonight, we're going to be talking about women who change the world, and ensuring that girls and women around the world have the same access to education as their male counterparts is a key step in empowering women and girls. And as we all know, empowering women and girls not only makes a huge difference to them as individuals, but it also brings huge benefits to society as a whole when women participate in all aspects of social, political, and economic life. Just to say at the beginning that I'm also conscious that we're talking about this issue while we continue to grapple with the pandemic. And unfortunately, we know that this pandemic has had devastating effects for women and girls who are disproportionately impacted in the front lines and at home. So I hope tonight's discussion will foster a better understanding of what is at stake, but also bring to light some innovative ideas on how we can overcome the current challenges. I'm sure there's a lot to do, but I'm really confident that with determination, we can indeed build a better gender equal world. I'm going to leave it at that because I want to have plenty of opportunity for discussion, but thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you for your introduction. We'll just, hand the floor to Dr. Modupe Irele, Nigeria's ambassador to France and Monaco. You can take whatever time you need maybe to start to introduce your approach of this subject. You don't need to, have all the 3 minutes if you don't want to, because you will be discussing. We're listening to you. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Lady and Sylvester, for inviting me to take part in this event. I'm very happy to be here. And good evening to everybody else. I'm actually coming in from a perspective that I'm not used to thinking about quality, inequality amongst men and women, but I do see that there is that inequality. And when I analyze it, I realize that one of the things we have to take into account is the fact that men have had many, many centuries of a head start from women. And when you realize that people gravitate to other people that they're used to, the people that they're familiar with, and people that they are confident and comfortable with, you'll find that men will therefore more naturally gravitate towards other men in choosing people to be in positions of leadership and positions of clout. Which brings us to the fact that therefore we need to be able to we women need to be able to get into those areas quickly and expand our own spheres of influence. And for me, that means bringing them in at the school level, at the local level, at the grassroots level, and not waiting till people have amassed experience, because that experience has to come in early. So that's the kind of area that I, in today's discussion, will be pursuing and seeing how my experiences have shown that that approach and that understanding actually goes a long way to helping to improve and grow the pool of women in leadership positions. Well, thank you for giving me that chance to give a kind of introduction to my own take on today's discussions. And I look forward to listening to other people as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This gives us a lot to discuss and to exchange, because most of people think that because women are women, so definitely they think the same way, they have the same approach. Let us go to Ambassador Anna Bossman, Ambassador of the Republic of Ghana to France and Portugal, Permanent Delegate of Ghana to UNESCO, OECD, and La Francophonie. We're listening to you. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And hello to everybody here. I'm very glad. I haven't been in Paris for a while. At least I haven't been in Paris for about 3 months now. But I'll be coming at the end of this month. So some of you who I see on the screen, hello, see you soon. Thank you again for inviting me to take part in this webinar. There's so much to be said. There's so much to say. When I was listening to Gillian, I went on I started thinking a particular way, and then when I listened to Modupe, and then I went into another way, which tells you how very broad this subject is, and how much we can speak about it. I'm taking it from this perspective that in Ghana here, what I have noticed, or what we know has been happening for a number of years now, is that the women, especially the young women, have taken to enhancing their business skills. It is really amazing to see the number of young women, and as Modupe was saying, some of them don't have all the degrees that we're talking about, they don't. But they have taken the reins of business, and they're doing very, very well. They've taken initiative. They're in trading. They're in, but what is even more exciting is they're in production. Of different things. And what is more, they are feeding their communities, which is something that we all need quite a bit of. So this is where I'm going to be speaking most of all. And I'm also going to say on a personal note also that as I know many of you probably have role models as your mothers, I have too. My mother also started a business in very unlikely, my mother was a diplomat's wife. And so she wasn't working for a long time. And when my father passed away a long time ago, she found herself with 8 children, six very, very rowdy boys to look after. And what did she do? Well, she then set herself up and started a catering equipment hire business, which then became quite very well known in Ghana, and became actually one of the pioneers of the catering equipment business. And I watched this lady, from didn't have too much of a business background, but the way and manner that she operated with mainly people in the villages, in the communities, bringing them up, really inspired me. So I'm going to be speaking around that theme. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With your permission, because you're talking about the role model, I want to take this opportunity to, send my sympathy once again, because I know you're still mourning. That's why you're in Ghana. Maybe you're not comfortable with me talking about that, but you started, and I wouldn't let it go.
She's a wonderful lady, so I love talking about her.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, Mrs. Amélia LAKRAFI, bonsoir, good evening, how are you?
Bonsoir, I'm very happy to be here. Any opportunity to promote the role of women is more than welcome. I'm happy to be part of this such a beautiful panel. I apologize in advance. I'm going to speak French. As a French elected official, I owe it to myself to be an ambassador of the Francophonie, and I'm proud of it. So I apologize.
Okay, no problem. Just go ahead. I should have introduced you as a member of parliament for French people living abroad, but you know, it was in already the presentation. You have the floor. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Merci. Alors, pardon, mais j'ai pas écouté la fin tout à l'heure. Je reprends les points que vous avez envoyés. On est d'accord sur le compte rendu, enfin sur les sujets, pardon.
Oui, là, vous pouvez juste faire une brève introduction de ce que vous voulez aborder tout à l'heure, juste une brève introduction.
Ok, pardon. Alors, ce qui est important pour moi, et en fait, on est en plein dedans cette semaine, et c'est ultra symbolique. Notre groupe parlementaire à l'Assemblée nationale a déposé une proposition de loi sur l'émancipation économique des femmes. Je vous laisse traduire ou...
Sylvestre? Sylvestre, can you hear me?
Yes,
yes.
Sure.
Okay. I want to make sure that you're there. So this is for Gillian mostly. Is Thais around, or should we just make a? How do you want it to be handled?
Non. Gillian parle parfaitement français.
Oui.
Super. Wonderful.
Il n'y a pas de problème pour moi. Je ne sais pas s'il y a des gens en ligne qui ne parlent pas français, mais bon, cela m'est égal. Alors, c'est comme vous voulez. Merci.
We have people from UK and Australia, so we will speak both languages. If you mind, it will be in French and in English.
Beautiful. This is a global webinar. I'm sorry for interrupting you again. You have the floor once. C'est à vous. C'est à vous.
It's perfect, et c'est doublement parfait parce que le président Macron défend beaucoup le plurilinguisme et pas que la francophonie. Du coup, je suis doublement ravie de faire partie de cette table ronde parce que cette semaine pour nous est aussi importante car symboliquement, nous avons déposé une proposition de loi qui a pour thème l'émancipation économique des femmes. Et ce qui est important pour moi, c'est d'aussi vous écouter, surtout nos ambassadrices, parce que tout ce qui peut être fait chez vous d'intéressant et qu'on pourrait copier, parce que même si on est fiers d'être français et fiers de ce qu'on fait, je pense qu'on peut réussir à trouver des exemples intéressants à dupliquer chez nous. Ce que j'ai envie de dire, j'ai envie de beaucoup parler en fait des rôles modèles. J'aimerais qu'on parle beaucoup des rôles modèles parce que je pense que c'est ce qui fonctionne le mieux. J'ai à cœur d'aller beaucoup dans les collèges et lycées. Quand je vais dans les 49 pays de ma circonscription, je me rends souvent dans les écoles et j'ai envie de parler aux jeunes filles parce que c'est ces jeunes filles qui seront nos citoyens de demain. Et j'ai à cœur de leur demander ce qu'elles veulent faire plus tard. Et je suis souvent attristée de les entendre me citer des métiers, même si on est d'accord, il n'y a pas de sous-métier, mais c'est souvent des métiers en lien avec le social ou la santé. Donc, assistante sociale, infirmière ou institutrice, c'est très bien, mais je leur dis que vous avez le droit de rêver, vous avez le droit d'être président de la République, vous avez le droit d'être chef d'entreprise, vous avez le droit d'être astronaute et d'aller sur Mars. S'il vous plaît, rêvez. Et du coup, je pense que c'est peut-être nous qui sommes responsables et c'est à nous d'être plus visibles et d'être des rôles modèles pour leur dire, regardez, si nous, on a réussi à être députés, ministres, ambassadrices, vous pouvez l'être et les filles, s'il vous plaît, rêvez. Et du coup, moi, j'ai vraiment envie d'insister beaucoup sur les rôles modèles. Et la deuxième chose qui est importante pour moi, pour cette semaine pour laquelle on met enfin en avant un peu les femmes, c'est l'entrepreneuriat. Moi, j'étais une chef d'entreprise avant d'être députée. Et quand on est chef d'entreprise et qu'on est une femme, on a très, très peu accès au crédit. En France, en tout cas, malheureusement, moins de 10% des startups gérées par des femmes ont des financements des investisseurs. Et là encore, on a à travailler tous ensemble sur comment on fait pour pousser nos investisseurs, nos banques, à faire confiance aux femmes. Donc voilà, c'est des sujets qui m'intéressent beaucoup. Donc, si vous le voulez bien, je vous laisse la parole.
Thank you very much, Amélia LAKRAFI. Yes, women in leadership, it's a matter of being able to make business for women who want to do so. It's really important to have bank loans, you know, because with no money, there is nothing that you can really do. It is important to have role models. So we're going back to what Ambassador of Ghana just mentioned. I just wanted to give the opportunity to each of you to kind of react to what others have said, because you gave your introductions, but for sure you wanted to add some more water to what was said earlier. So I will go back to you, Gillian. How would you like to, react?
Look, thanks very much. And well, it's not surprising. I agree with everything my fellow panelists have said. And picking up on the last point that Amélia made, and it was also made very much by Anna, and I think Modupe too, it's the point about role models. And I like it, you can't be what you can't see. So if girls don't see someone in a role, they don't think, that's something I can do. So the more we can promote women in leadership, which is our topic, so the more they see members of parliament like Amélia, ambassadors like Anna, Modupe and I, CEOs, vice presidents of the United States, chancellors of Germany, heads of international organizations, then they'll start thinking, well, this is something I can do. And as I said, you can't be what you can't see. So I think those of us who've got to positions in leadership, we owe it to everyone to get out there and show what women and girls can do. So I think the role model is really important. It's something I missed a bit in my career early on. There were very, very few female diplomats or ambassadors, and it's changing. And that, I think, will help bring through the next generation.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Ambassador Modupe Irele, are you in? I know that you've got a problem with your video, but I just want to make sure that you're still with us. I can't see you. I cannot see you. Maybe you're coming back. She's there. Okay.
Can you not see me?
Yes. Yeah. Now I can see you. I'm sorry. Yeah. I wanted you to really, go back to this, your point of view, because we shared a lot about it earlier, prior to this webinar. And it's really important because, everybody think that because women are women, so they all need and all want whatever is being said that women need and should go to, and which is not true, but which is also in a certain way fair, because we're not we're not twins. Women are not twins, of each other women. So how do you think that not being automatically on this, not having this approach can still give women the opportunity to move forward if they want to? We've heard about money, we've heard about education, role models, and so on and so forth. So what would you like to, to answer to what has been said earlier?
Well, yes, thank you. I think I need to also make some clarification. I may not be an activist in terms of women's businesses, but fundamentally, I am somebody who believes that women have very fundamental rights and very fundamental desires to promote themselves and to do well. So coming from that perspective, I think one of the challenges one has, yes, you have role models, but how do you find yourself in a position to be put in a place that you can become a role model, that you can actually maybe in the public sphere, because policies are very important. How can you be a woman who has access to clout in the policy area? That's the kinds of things that I think is important. And unless that is started early, because only women with women's priorities will bring them forward. When you're in a world where men are constantly putting forward their own priorities, you need to have more female voices to present those priorities. And you can't just get there overnight. So what I have seen that works in various places, and particularly in America, where you see a lot of women universities and women colleges, those situations force you to choose leaders from women. And when you have more women who are used to practicing female leadership roles, then you have more people to choose from, and you have more people who will automatically think of other women. As I said earlier on, people gravitate to people that they're familiar with. So a man will gravitate to a man. They know how to talk to each other. And a woman may gravitate also more to those women. So you need to have more people in the pool. And if you can start that from early on, then as they mature and get into their 30s and 40s, they're there as people who can be chosen. And so I really think giving students, children opportunities, even from school in the local level, in the various, is a way to go. And to start thinking about it intentionally early on. Because I do agree with Anna and Gillian that role models, having people that you can look up to is important, but making it possible for them is also key.
Thank you, very interesting. So Ambassador Bossman, you know, how do you handle the glass ceiling matter, you know, because you know, gravitating is one thing, but you know, moving forward is also really important. How did you handle that? Because you know, before being an ambassador, you know, you went through a lot of, you know, a lot of realms, if I should put it that way. And it is not what a woman can think about what she can do or cannot do, but she will also have to handle how people, be it men or women, think of who she is and what she wants to go to. How did you handle that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, before I became an ambassador, I did go through various careers, okay. But where I really had to say fight to break the glass ceiling was when I was working in the oil and gas industry. At the time, of course, it was mainly man, very, very heavily man dominated. And I happened to be the only female in a managerial position, and I was the only Black woman as well, Black person. And so it was very difficult. One thing that I think helped me in a very perverse way is that I was working with a lot of Texans. And is there anybody who's Texan here? I might say something that is not appropriate. But anyway, I was working with a lot of Texans, and they were very brash and bold and stuff, but most of them could not speak French. I was working in French-speaking countries. They could not speak French. So I was always in the room with the bosses, always. You know, they had to depend on me to interpret and to translate at very high echelons. Now, so one thing about men, and I think all men here will understand what I'm saying, is that they don't like to be wrong. They don't like, and especially at that time, they did not like for a woman, and at that time also for a Black woman, to always be right. But I was right. Why? Because they couldn't understand what was happening, you know, so in a very perverse way. And so when we went places, they had, because they were depending on me, after a while, they had to push me up. They had to push me up, you know, and that's what they did. But they also had a way of saying that, I remember one particular time when for the performance appraisals, they said I had done very, very well, but there was no money. So the appropriate or the commensurate what you call it percentage that they needed to give me for that year, they couldn't give it to me, and you know, but you're very good and that and the other. But I saw that they were giving everybody else, but they were not giving it to me. So I said to them, "Oh, I understand there's no money and so on, blah blah blah, you know. But you see, what you can do is that next year you're going to give me double." You know, and of course they were taken aback. I said, "I don't mind, it doesn't matter, don't give me anything this year, next year you give me double." You know, and they had to, you know, they had to discuss it amongst themselves, but you know, what else could they do? I said, "It's okay, don't give it to me today, you can give it to me tomorrow, but give it to me, double it." And well, they did double it. For me, after that, I got more and more confident. I got more and more confident in expressing my views, also speaking for others. So that helped me also a lot. But I was also very lucky because my father always said to me that you do not need a man to define you, and you do not need a man to get to where you want to be. I remember my mother used to tell him sometimes, why you don't want your daughter to get married. And then he would say, yes, but when love is gone, what are you going to eat? So there are challenges. Luckily, very luckily, in our society in Ghana, and from where I come from, the area that I come from, the tribe that I come from, we are matrilineal. We are matrilineal. So it has always been the woman who has been on the forefront. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we understand happen to others in other societies, but because of our lineage or lineage, whatever you want, what women have always been on the forefront of things. So it has given us, and gave me the sense of I can do anything that a man can, And so with the mentees that I have and the people that I work with, the women and the girls that I work with, I always tell them stories of my own life and my own experiences and other people that they know, because as you see, yes, you cannot be what you cannot see. Yes. And so I also do that and let them see that, listen, this person has been able to do this and that and the other with very little. Therefore, you can do the same. So that's the way I've also operated, and trying to get people, also young girls, to understand that they can also do that. It's not easy, it's true. It's also because our curricula, as Modupe, you'll agree with me, our curricula, our school curricula for young ladies, it is now that it is changing. For example, now in Ghana, there is an emphasis, very strong emphasis on girls learning science and maths, okay? And very luckily for us, our schools are showing that the girls are excelling in science and maths, and they're doing all sorts of things. So we're pushing them.
Yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, let me just kind of give it the way I took it. That's what we call women's witchcraft, being able to speak a foreign language that not everybody can speak, being able to get more double with interest, from people who did not want to give it to you. I mean, if that's not witchcraft, I don't know what that is. That's how it might be perceived by men. And I would like to be interested into knowing how many men are connected in this webinar, if we have the opportunity to, if you want to raise your hand, boys, maybe. So yeah, this is, I think, good material for you, Amélia. You wanted to see how things could be done. Can you hear me, Amélia?
Yes, je vous entends.
Voilà, beaucoup de matière. Donc, on rebondit là sur la possibilité de gagner sa vie, d'être autonome, malgré les vents contraires. C'est intéressant d'entendre comment vous faites, vous, avec la politique, le sexisme, le plafond de verre peut-être. Class and living politics.
Les barrières. En fait, j'ai pas eu tellement de barrières pour être élue ou pour avoir été investie. J'ai la chance que le président candidat à l'époque ait, de ce qu'on m'a dit, eu un coup de cœur pour mon CV, pour être investi, pour être la candidate d'En Marche. Et j'ai été élue, je pense, grâce au président de la République. Donc, j'ai pas eu tellement de barrières pour être députée. Et je pense qu'être une femme a été un facilitateur, parce que je pense que je cochais toutes les cases, une femme, de la diversité, chef d'entreprise. Voilà, je pense qu'il cherchait quelques femmes comme ça pour cocher une case, pour dire, nous, on aime les femmes et on aime la diversité. Ce qui est très bien. Ce qui est très, très bien. Et du coup, donc pour être élue et pour être députée, je n'ai pas tellement eu de barrières. Ce qui est triste et ce qui est dommage, c'est qu'une fois qu'on est élu, une fois qu'on est au Parlement, on entend des hommes jeunes, donc 40 ans, qui vous disent, pour être présidente de l'Assemblée nationale ou être présidente du groupe, donc de la majorité présidentielle à l'Assemblée nationale, on n'a pas le vivier de femmes. Je ne comprends pas. C'est-à-dire, on a près de 270 femmes sur 577 à l'Assemblée nationale. On a tous les profils, des chercheuses, des chefs d'entreprise, des infirmières, des avocates, des médecins, dans beaucoup de secteurs, des femmes avec énormément d'expérience, et vous entendez encore des hommes dire il n'y a pas le vivier, donc on ne peut pas proposer de femmes pour être présidente de l'Assemblée nationale en 2017 encore, et en 2019 encore, quand on a renouvelé le bureau et les postes à responsabilité à l'Assemblée nationale. Donc, il y a encore du boulot, parce que de se dire que sur 270 femmes, il n'y en a pas une qui pourrait être présidente de l'Assemblée, je trouve ça très grave, personnellement. Donc, il faut se battre. Ce que je peux vous dire, personnellement, moi, à l'Assemblée nationale, en bientôt 4 ans, j'ai appris, je crois que je vous l'ai dit, j'ai appris à couper la parole aux hommes, en fait. Ce que je ne faisais pas tellement avant. Du coup, j'ai beaucoup de collègues masculins qui me disent que je suis mal élevée ou pas très polie parce que je coupe la parole. Parce que si je ne coupe pas la parole, on ne me la donne pas. Et du coup, comme je suis quelqu'un qui ne s'est jamais laissé faire, je coupe la parole. Mais là où c'est aussi peut-être sympa d'être une femme et où on arrive à se réconcilier avec ses collègues, c'est que quand on est une femme, on peut dire des choses plus ou moins méchantes ou plus ou moins directes. Quand on fait un grand sourire, ça passe. Donc du coup, je joue à outrance peut-être avec le fait d'être une femme, et du coup, je vais dire des choses très directes ou très pénibles à entendre pour un homme, mais comme je vais faire un grand sourire, ben, les hommes n'osent pas s'énerver. Bon, du coup, ça, vraiment, j'en profite à outrance. Après, sur le plafond de verre, vous avez parlé du plafond de verre, j'ai jamais tellement eu personnellement de plafond de verre. Quand j'ai voulu être chef d'entreprise à 33 ans, tout le monde m'a dit que c'est impossible parce que je suis une femme, parce que je suis issue de l'immigration, parce que j'étais divorcée avec un bébé. Tout le monde m'a dit, mais non, mais t'es folle, tu ne peux pas créer ta boîte, tu ne peux pas être patron, etc. Je l'ai fait quand même. Quand j'ai créé ma deuxième boîte, je voulais être commandant de réserve à la réserve cyberdéfense. On m'a dit pareil que c'est impossible. Je l'ai fait quand même. Et du coup, moi, ce que j'aime bien, c'est qu'on me dise que c'est impossible, parce que ça me donne envie de le faire pour fermer la bouche des gens. Donc, je n'ai jamais senti que j'avais un plafond de verre, mais j'ai senti qu'il y avait un plafond de verre chez beaucoup de femmes, parce que comment on me disait, mais comment tu fais pour être expert en cybersécurité ou avoir créé une société en cybersécurité en tant que femme? Je leur rappelle que les métiers de la cybersécurité ou les métiers du numérique en général, en fait, vous êtes derrière un ordinateur. Vous n'êtes pas un videur de discothèque, ou de faire 2 mètres 100 kilos pour pouvoir virer des personnes en état d'ébriété. Non. Quand on travaille sur le digital, quand on fait de la cybersécurité, on est derrière un ordinateur. Donc, c'est accessible à toutes les femmes. Et c'est vrai que les femmes en fait, sabotent. Et j'ai fait plusieurs tables rondes sur le sujet de la cybersécurité. J'ai toujours été la seule femme. Mais ce qui était très agréable, c'est que jamais un homme ne m'a dit que je n'étais pas à ma place. Jamais un homme sur un panel m'a dit pourquoi vous êtes une femme chef d'entreprise en cybersécurité, vous n'avez rien à faire là. Au contraire, tous les hommes dans la cybersécurité me disaient enfin une femme, ça fait du bien, c'est pas trop tôt. Du coup, c'est là que je pense que beaucoup de femmes s'auto-sabotent en fait et n'osent pas y aller. Et c'est là qu'encore une fois, on revient au rôle modèle. Mais ça ne veut pas dire que sur plusieurs événements, en arrivant en avance pour préparer mon stand ou pour être speaker, on m'a dit « mais vous êtes la nouvelle stagiaire » ou « mais vous êtes la nouvelle standardiste » ou la serveuse pour la pause café, vous êtes en retard, allez chercher votre tablier. Bon, ça m'est arrivé 2 fois sur des gros événements internationaux, mais en général, je le prends avec beaucoup d'humour. Et avec l'humour, tout passe, je pense. Donc, tous ces sujets et ces remarques sexistes qu'on a très souvent. Hein. Moi, j'ai beaucoup de collègues qui me disent « t'es coquette ». Ben non, en fait. C'est une femme de 15 ans, de 14 ans, de 13 ans est coquette. Mais une femme de 43 ans, on ne lui dit pas qu'elle est coquette. Est-ce que moi, je dis à mes collègues masculins « vous êtes coquet » Ça ne me viendrait pas à l'esprit. Du coup, je réponds souvent avec de l'humour, mais je réponds. Et du fois, ils sont gênés, et on voit qu'ils sont gênés, mais comme je l'ai dit avec le sourire et de l'humour, ça passe.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. So I don't know, Sylvestre, for our English-speaking participants, not the panelists, if there is anybody, not everybody can understand speak French, but yeah, just I would like you, Gillian, and Ambassador Anna and Modupe as well. Yeah, women are expected to behave a certain way, to be, good girls, nice girls, to smile, and not to behave like men do. And this is a little bit of a problem, because once a woman starts to behave differently than what is expected, then there is something wrong about not her, but about the way men mostly, and even women, we should say so. We should say that even women say, "Oh, I mean, you're misbehaving." So what I want you to emphasize on is, how can a woman be the one she wants to be it in business, in politics, whatever she wants to do? How can she, get into that without having the burden of what everybody's saying? Yeah.
Let me just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. Two things, actually. One is, and we've talked a little bit about role models already, so having strong women out there in Parliament and elsewhere, girls can see that that's something they can aspire to. But I think the other point is, and we talked the glass ceiling. I don't think I've had, luckily glass ceilings haven't really been an issue, except I was thinking about it in preparation for tonight, except maybe my own glass ceilings. Sometimes my own limitations, whether I'm good enough. Now, maybe men feel this as well, but I was really struck when Pierre Trudeau was newly elected as Canada's Prime Minister, and he came to the UN, where I was at the time. And he talked about, he ran a campaign, part of his campaign, and it's very much what happened to you, Amelia. In Canada, he wanted to get the number of women up in Parliament. So he launched something called Ask Her to Run. So basically, if you thought someone would be good in Parliament, encourage her to run, because he felt that often women were perhaps holding back a little bit, didn't realize that they were quite as capable, had as much to offer. So it was about encouraging other women, not just in Parliament, but elsewhere, to put themselves forward. And he said that when he was appointing his ministry, he would often ask Mr. X, would you like to be Minister, Foreign Affairs? And they would always immediately reply, yes. When he asked some of his female parliamentarians, would you like to be the Minister for whatever? They would often say, oh, I might have to think about that. I'll need to work out whether I'm right for the job. So I think part of it is also, you see it, you can be it, you encourage. Ask her to run, ask her to do this. You encourage other women to put themselves forward. You have to, it can be brave. Sometimes it's difficult to put yourself forward, but if you're not prepared, and I think that the working with others, encouraging others, and that's for me been the biggest difference. When I first became an ambassador, there were a few. We're now in Australia, almost 50% with work. And it's really great when you've got that network, it helps you. And none of this is about at the expense of men, I should say this. It's really, what we want is when it's as unremarkable to have a woman president or a woman ambassador or a woman CEO, when it's as unremarkable to have a woman in that role as it is to have a man. That's what we're after. It's equally unremarkable rather than remarkable.
So how do you all see the future as far as all the points that you've raised? Is it going to be easier? Is it going to remain something to a fight, because what you got yesterday, you might lose it tomorrow, and then how do you see all of it? And also in terms of education, as far as children are concerned, young boys, young girls, do you think that their future is going to be different with those subjects? Is it going to be obvious for girls and boys that, you know, salary is the same no matter what you are, and no matter whether you're a boy or a girl, a man or a woman, you can do whatever you can do in your job? What do you think is going to be like, be it here in France or in your, you know, your countries? Yeah, I think. Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Modupe.
I'd like to take up where Gillian actually left off and saying that as you see more and more women in different roles and different high places, you see it as something that is normal and usual. Therefore, it will encourage women to not see themselves doing something unexpected. And I think that women have always a lot of women, and I would say actually myself included, shortchanged yourselves because we think that, am I really able to do that? You know, you don't want to be too forceful, you don't want to push yourself forward. But the big difference between men and women, I think, in those kind of situations is that men don't see, well, yeah, why shouldn't I? Yeah, I can do it. Well, why not? Whereas women may be a bit more apologetic. But as more and more women are out there, it's becoming quite ordinary. It's becoming quite ordinary to see women heads of states, to see women leading big organizations, to see women at the helm. So I'll give you an example. Before in Nigeria, I'll talk about secondary schools in Nigeria, you'd have the head boy and the head girl in systems that had prefects. And the head girl was sometimes often really more a deputy head boy, because all the main events were given to the boy, and when he's not around, then the girl comes in and she's the one doing all the little soft things. Now we're seeing that change. And as they begin to realize that really these positions, they're not to be kept for men, these are things that we can all do, they too will be more ready. And I see it already. People, you know, we're more willing to say, yes, of course I can do it. Normally we might not have, but as these positions become much more available and much more often filled by people of different perspectives and backgrounds, you know, women, white women, Black women, people from continent A and from continent B. And there's that interaction and intersection of a whole variety of differences. The gender difference is just one of them. And so we can take it and we can claim it. And so I see the future being not just bright, but immediately so, because these things are not happening slowly as they used to happen in the past. These developments are actually happening very quickly. You know, the changes are coming very quickly, so you don't have to wait for a long time. And just before I finish, I'll just pick up on something that Anna had said earlier on about enterprises and women. In Nigeria, we've always had a lot of female enterprises and female businesses, and both male and female businesses succeed and fail. True, women in the past may not have had as easy access to funding, but we can see that is changing very rapidly in Nigeria. So you don't find women thinking, oh, I can't start a business because I'm a woman. It's probably that and a whole lot of other things. So yes, I see the future is going to be one of greater equality and one where gender difference is going to be blurred much more rapidly than perhaps we think now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Women on board, you know, everybody speaks about that. But the question is, how do I get as a woman from where I am to go enter a board, you know, of a company? That when they know they have to do that, the question is, how are they going to do that? I'll leave it to you, you know, not Dr. Modupe, but the Ambassador Anna Bossman and Amélia LAKRAFI as well. Maybe you have an approach of what the future is going to be like. Dr. Modupe is saying that it has to be that way because there is no way things can really change. I don't know whether that's what you think too before we hand over to Gillian and Sylvestre for the closure.
Well, I mean, I think Modupe is absolutely right. The way the world is today, the changes are going on so fast. Technology, artificial intelligence, social media. I mean, all of this is taking us at a, you know, very, 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 very fast rate. And women and girls are no longer just interested in the traditional work or careers. They're no longer interested in that. And like I was saying at the beginning, that I'm seeing here in my country, the women and the girls here are much more entrepreneurial. They are now taking all sorts of jobs and careers. They're pursuing these careers that they would not have pursued in perhaps, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. Today, you find women even at the lowest echelons. I'm not saying lower echelons in a pejorative way. I'm saying lower echelons in looking at women who perhaps haven't gotten all the sort of degrees that we might have. They are opening workshops like mechanic workshops. I don't know how you say that. Comment on dit ça en français d'ailleurs? But you know, garage, is it garage or something like that? You know, you find women here doing that. They're doing all sorts of work. I mean, it's incredible. Things that we didn't see 20 years ago, that's what they're doing now. These young women who, some of them do not have access to school after a certain age. Why? Because yes, still in some of the traditional societies, it is if there is a lack of money, when you're going to choose the boy to go to school rather than a girl. And a lot of them may, in spite of being very bright and whatnot, may not have the opportunity to go to school. But what do we see with these women, with these young girls? Oh, these young girls, not only do they start by sitting on the roadside selling water, tomorrow you see them, they're selling dog chains or something, women. And then later on you see, oh, they've gotten themselves a store, they're selling clothes or something like that. Next thing you see, they've set up something, you know. So and you see them all the time. I'm really, really amazed. I mean, I'm actually very, very excited about that because how are we going to get on in the world, really? I mean, it's through trade, it's through development, it's through commercial. I mean, the world, that's what it is now. And these women have understood it. These girls have understood that, listen, if I'm going to get ahead, then I must be, first of all, I must be financially independent, or at least if I'm not independent, I must have some finances. Here, governments, of course, can help, can also help in setting up these vocational schools and whatnot. But the private sector is also helping by giving these girls and boys, you know, internships. They give them apprenticeship. And this is what we are also trying to push. The other thing with regards to politics and government, the political parties are now more and more being pushed, you know, to have a sort of, how would I say, it's pushing women, asking the political parties to push women forward as candidates in the constituencies. It is not as you know, we would like it to be better, but it is working. Yesterday, I was on a webinar and I was speaking on the subject of women in politics and women in policy, etc. And one thing that I said was that, well, in Ghana, in the past 20, 30 years or so, we haven't done too badly when it comes to promotion of women in high places. We've had 2 chief justices as well, women. We've had 3 foreign affairs women who are women. We've had we've had the Attorney General. It's been a woman, 2 have been women. We've also had the head of the Electoral Commission, 2 of them. The current one is also a woman. And when I became an ambassador, out of 25, out of 54 ambassadors, 25 were women. And in in Europe, out of the 15 women, 15 ambassadors, 12 were women. So you see, when I was speaking to these young people, then they suddenly saw, you know, they asked me all sorts of questions. How can you become an ambassador? Do you have, and then I explained to them how you can do all these things. But I said, you know, the thing is that that you have to look at always is don't always look at your self-interest, because then if you just look self-interest all the time, it might limit you. It might limit your dream. It might actually limit your dreams, you know. But look at what it is that you can do, perhaps for yourself, but to lift up others. So lift up people, lift up, and then you realize that the girls around you perhaps need lifting. Well, lift them too, you know. And this is where we come back to the role models. This is when we come back to mentoring. This is when we come back to going back to the schools and speaking to the girls. We people sitting out here, you know, women, young girls are looking at us all the time. They're asking, how did you get there? Can I get there myself? And it is really our duty. It is our duty, each and every one of us, to show them that yes, you can get there. I think that the world is changing. Mm-hmm. It is going to be much better for women, and it is going to be much better for women, and men are fighting men as well.
That's what I wanted you to.
I was going to say men, but what I'm saying is that men are fighting it. They are fighting it for a reason. Yeah. For a reason, you know, not everybody, but men are fighting it too.
Thank you. As you see, Sylvestre, there are so many reactions. It's like you might need to have another session of this webinar. We're going to listen to Amélia LAKRAFI. Nous vous écoutons, on est en train de conclure. Qu'est-ce que vous auriez envie de dire au regard de ce qui a été partagé?
Sorry, before that, sorry to interrupt you, because we can maybe jump on in the chat section, because we have many questions. If you can just answer at least one or two questions.
While Amélia is speaking,
Amélia, we can come back to you in a.
We can't hear you, but I guess everybody can hear me. Yes, I saw the questions, but please, I am the moderator, sir. Please let us have Amélia, you know, speak, and then while everybody watches the questions, so that the panelists can pick up, you know, each one to bring an answer, if you don't mind. Let us put it that way. Please, Amélia, we're listening to you. I'm sorry, Sylvestre.
No, it's fine. Alors, pour ma part, je suis d'accord avec tout ce que vient de dire Madame l'ambassadrice Anna Bossman, clairement, et merci pour ce qu'elle a dit. J'ai envie d'ajouter, le Ghana et le Nigeria font partie de ma circonscription, font partie des 49 pays de ma circonscription. Et c'est vrai que j'ai eu la chance de rencontrer beaucoup de femmes ghanéennes et nigériennes, entrepreneurs, donc chefs d'entreprise accomplis. Et c'est vrai que j'ai été presque jalouse de les voir presque plus, avec plus de confiance en elles que ne peuvent l'être certaines jeunes filles en France. Donc, je ne sais pas comment vous faites, il faudra qu'on en parle. Pour moi, comment je verrai demain, j'aimerais que demain soit féminin, mais pas trop. Mais pas trop, parce que ma crainte, et j'ai une vraie crainte là-dessus, c'est qu'à vouloir faire beaucoup parler des femmes, de la place des femmes, de l'émancipation des femmes, qu'on se mette à dos les hommes. Et je pense qu'en fait, on n'y arrivera jamais si les hommes ne nous aident pas. Et beaucoup d'hommes ont compris qu'en fait, il fallait y aller ensemble, et il fallait que les hommes et les femmes marchent l'un à côté de l'autre et pas l'un contre l'autre. mais vraiment, j'ai envie que demain soit pas féminin, mais que demain soit harmonieux. Et en fait, c'est même économiquement beaucoup plus viable parce que beaucoup d'études ont montré que les entreprises mixtes avec des hommes et des femmes au top management sont beaucoup plus rentables que les entreprises dirigées que par des hommes. Après, j'ai rien contre la gestion des hommes. Je pense juste qu'on n'est pas pareil. Dans le chat, j'ai cru que quelqu'un, je crois, a dû parler de est-ce qu'on doit se comporter comme des hommes? Je ne crois pas. J'ai déjà entendu la phrase de il faut penser comme un homme mais réagir comme une femme. Je ne crois pas parce que je pense vraiment qu'on est très complémentaires. On a peut-être de l'intelligence émotionnelle comme je l'ai vu dans le chat. Je pense qu'on est assez empathique. Et je pense que voilà, l'homme et la femme dirigeants d'une entreprise ou d'une organisation, je pense qu'ils peuvent être que meilleurs parce que nos différences sont très belles. Là où je pense qu'on a plutôt bien avancé, on a quand même beaucoup de femmes visibles. À l'OMC, aujourd'hui, on a une femme, donc l'Organisation mondiale du commerce. À la francophonie, nous avons une femme. La présidente de la Commission européenne, c'est une femme. Donc, on voit que de plus en plus de femmes commencent à avoir des postes intéressants et à très haut niveau. Mais en fait, pour moi, tant qu'on n'aura pas réglé le problème de l'équilibre vie privée, vie professionnelle, on n'y arrivera pas parce que beaucoup de femmes refusent des postes parce que c'est elles qui s'occupent des enfants. Et tant qu'on n'aura pas réglé ce problème-là, on n'aura pas de femmes, toujours moins de femmes chez l'entreprise ou même des femmes ambassadeurs. En France, on a des femmes qui refusent les postes d'ambassadeurs parce que familialement parlant, ça va être très compliqué pour elles de gérer une famille et d'être ambassadeur. Et après, si je reviens là-dessus, on a l'histoire des quotas. Donc, dans beaucoup de pays, on a envie de faire des quotas. Et là encore, c'est bien parce que si on n'y va pas de force, ben, les hommes, souvent, ne nous y invitent pas. Et on revient sur le vivier de tout à l'heure. Mais moi, je suis inquiète avec les quotas parce que est-ce que les femmes vont avoir confiance en elles? Parce qu'on pourrait leur dire, en fait, tu n'es pas là parce que tu es une femme, tu es là parce que tu es compétente, mais tu es là parce que tu es une femme. Et c'est là que, comment on fait pour qu'elle ait confiance en elle? Parce qu'elle est en plus compétente, en plus d'être une femme. C'est pour ça que les quotas sont dangereux. Et pour revenir aux ambassadrices, en tout cas en France, on a je crois, 27% de femmes ambassadeurs en France, mais on a créé de plus en plus d'anémosité, en fait, envers les hommes, parce qu'on a beaucoup d'hommes qui sont arrivés à l'âge et avec l'expérience pour devenir ambassadeur. Et quand un poste se libère, on le donne à une femme, alors qu'elle n'a pas la même expérience ou assez d'expérience. Et là, en fait, on crée de la rancœur et on met des hommes contre nous, contre ce combat homme-femme. Du coup, là où on place le curseur, c'est très, très, très touchy.
Merci beaucoup pour cette approche, Amélia. Il faut bien que quelqu'un soit mécontent, c'est ça que ça veut dire. Somebody needs not to be happy, you know. Women used to be the ones, so maybe things are changing. But as someone just said, that it's not women against men, but it's just a matter of having everything okay for everyone, which is possible. Yeah, I mean, this is a women rights researcher speaking now. So yeah, we're going to those questions here. I would like you to take the opportunity to answer or to react to what the chat is letting us know before we go to the closure. Let us take 5 extra more minutes, for both the chat and the closure. So yeah, Susan, Gillian, Anna, and Modupe, you saw those questions. Is there anybody who wants to say anything here?
I just pick up a little bit that's just been, so I saw one of the comments and it was about the anecdote I was saying about men immediately saying yes and women hesitating. And someone said, well, do we have to react as men do? Isn't it all right to react differently? And absolutely. I mean, the point of the anecdote was more that people should feel encouraged to aspire to and to be able to fulfill any position that matters. One of the reasons for some of that hesitation, and it gets to the point that Amelia made, was family responsibilities. What I like to talk about, and we've done this a lot in my Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and Government, is this approach, and we talk about work-life balance. It's good not just for women, it's good for young fathers. It is good for people who have parental responsibilities. the idea of having a balance between your work and your life is not just to help women who have it actually helps everyone, because men are fathers, they have young children, people have elderly parents they need to look after. What we want is a workplace where everyone feels that they can contribute and they have value. So it's not about advantaging one gender over another, one background over another. It is enabling everyone to feel that they have a role, they are valued. Everyone's going to have different personalities are different. Nobody's going to be identical. Men aren't all the same. Women aren't all the same. It's making space for those differences, but that everyone is valued and has that opportunity. That's what we're after.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to react to the chat also? Dr. Bossman, Dr. Modupe.
Yes, yeah, maybe I'll say something. I saw a very interesting question about, is there such a thing as feminine leadership? And I thought that was an interesting question because we talk about women in leadership, but I think that when women get into leadership positions, they take on a feminine kind of leadership because they begin to talk perhaps more about, or they have a chance to put feminine priorities more on the table and give them more time on the agenda. So when you have women in, I think then issues like how much of tax money goes into health issues for families, how much of tax money goes into education, things that affect the familial side. And somebody else has talked about that, people don't take up women don't take up ambassadorship positions, for example, because they have family-linked concerns. And so things that can happen to facilitate and ameliorate those issues are brought out more and given more discussion time. You also find that the way women, it's documented now that the way women deal with conflict is different from the way men deal with conflict. And so more time is given on the agenda from things from a female perspective. So I thought that question was a very interesting question. Women in leadership, does that lead to a different type of leadership? And I would just like to maybe bring together what Amélia had said, and that there's or was it Lady? I'm not sure that there's complementarity between approaches between men and women in leadership. There's a complementarity, and there is a polarity as well. And I think one should embrace both. I just want to I think yes. That was a very interesting question.
Thank you. So did we address all the questions in this chat? Maybe, oh yeah, Sylvestre, I think you might need to organize something more, another session. You also write men and women, okay?
As we start late, we can maybe go ahead with 2 additional questions before closing, if you mind. Because
great.
I see that
so,
and then afterward we will close because we're running out of the time.
Yeah. Amélia, peut-être voulez-vous réagir à quelque chose dans le chat?
J'ai un petit peu réagi sur mon avant-propos,
oui.
Sur le leadership au féminin. Il y a un leadership féminin clairement très différent du leadership masculin, et tant mieux. Et c'est là que effectivement, Madame Modupe a raison, et on est complémentaires. Et c'est là qu'il faut qu'on valorise notre leadership. En fait, on ne doit pas copier le leadership masculin. Quand on voit des femmes faire du coaching pour copier un leadership masculin, non. Et souvent, elles se disent non, il faut que je sois méchante. C'est vrai qu'on voit, et c'est très triste d'entendre certains hommes dire quand les femmes ont du pouvoir, elles sont catastrophiques, ou quand les femmes ont du pouvoir, elles en abusent, parce qu'en fait, elles ne veulent tellement pas montrer leurs défauts que des fois, elles sont plus dures que les hommes. Et on me le dit souvent sur des policières, donc des policiers femmes, ou des femmes juges, des magistrates, on dit qu'elles sont plus dures parce qu'elles veulent montrer qu'elles sont fortes et qu'elles ne sont pas faibles, et du coup, elles peuvent être très, très, très sévères. Je pense que ce n'est pas nécessaire. je pense qu'on peut briller en restant féminine. Et je pense que c'est pas la peine de copier les hommes, ils existent déjà. Donc, on a des qualités. Je pense qu'on est peut-être plus empathique. Je peux me tromper, mais je pense qu'on est peut-être un peu plus empathique. Et on a d'autres qualités différentes. Et moi, j'ai envie qu'en fait, on pousse nos différences et qu'on ait envie de donner aux organisations l'envie de mettre des binômes hommes-femmes à leur tête, que les femmes restent des femmes et gardent les comportements de femmes et qu'elles n'aient pas besoin de s'endurcir et de devenir méchantes pour devenir des leaders. Ça me gêne terriblement.
Merci beaucoup, Amélia. We have here, Anna, would you like to, react to this last question in the chat, talking about, don't we need a change in the masculine culture, even in the Western world? What do you think?
Don't we need a change in the masculine? No, I think actually, as all of us have said, Amélia and Modupe and Gillian have said, that there is something that is important to when you have leadership, and the complementarity that we're talking about is extremely important. Not that women should become men when they are at the head of when they are the head, but then they should be themselves. They should be themselves, and as we complement whatever attributes or talents that a man has. And that's why it's always very, very disappointing when you go to certain companies and you see that at the head, it's at the head. All the leadership is all men. And then you say to yourself, well, I say to myself, what they are missing by not putting a woman also there. And I'm not talking about putting a token woman there, but as Modupe and I think Gillian pointed out, there is a certain approach that women have, which complements the way men work. And like yesterday, I was saying that women are less likely when there's a conflict to jump to war. Why? Because they are the mothers, they are the nurturers, they are the ones who carry the children, so they feel it. So they are less likely to go to your head of state or something, let's go to war. They're less likely to do that, And so they're more likely to bring another balanced view or another view on the table. And it's very important to have the diversity of views on the table. And so when you only have men in high places, in the leadership roles, you find that a lot of times, at least I have found a lot of times, that the decisions that those particular companies make are always very lopsided. Very lopsided, and you see that the culture in the company is not harmonious. And I'm going to challenge you all to go and just look at different companies and institutions that are manned only by men at the top, and you see, and then go and speak to the people, to the rank and file. I call them the rank and file, the employees, and you'll see that there's usually not any harmony in those companies. And it's not because the companies are not good companies. Some of these companies are making lots and lots of money and whatnot. They're very, very successful. But the culture is such that there is a lot of dissatisfaction in those companies. It's not because, and I'm not saying that the leaders of these companies are bad. It is only because what I'm saying is that there is no balance at the top, and therefore the views are not balanced. So this is what I'm asking you to do.
Thank you very much. Sylvestre, I'm happy that we're coming to men, what they should do, what they should not do, and because I know you have a couple of stuff that you want to share with us. I know that there is a little bit of frustration when we come to the end of such a wonderful discussion, and I would not like to, I apologize, not giving you the opportunity to react more, but we have to, we have to move on, or to go to the closure of this discussion. Hopefully we'll have lots of opportunities in whatever we do, all of us, to move forward with those we're having more, if we're having more. Yes, it's so true, Amelia. Great. So Sylvestre, I will, before I close, I'll let you present what you planned, whatever you planned. I know you have a couple of stuff.
Thank you very much for this contribution to all our speakers. It was a very productive session, and I personally, I will keep that we need to be complementary between men and women. We need to achieve the gender equality together. It's not men excluded, but we have to rework and think in another way and act in another way on our side as men. Just before we close this session, I may share with you some initiatives that we have within our network. The first initiative is led by Asna, is a board member of our network. So Asna, if you can share some word about Active Mom or Active your initiative. Active
Yeah,
Woman,
it will be really quick. I know that we are ahead of time. So yeah, I'm happy to present you Active Woman. Actually, this is a digital platform that is dedicated to women's career. So our aim is really to help women make smarter decisions about what company to work for, and also help employers to understand how they are perceived and how they can attract better female talent.
Thank you so much. Yes, I know we're running out of time, but next time we will share in details. We have another initiative called Man Stop Man, led by Lady Ngomang. If you can just share something on that, please.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to showcase Man Stop Man. Men should stop men abusing women, because when it comes to women leadership, there is no way women leadership can be productive if those women in their private lives, or be it public life or private, even professional, if they're being abused, any or whatever the abuse is, this is not possible. So what I want to say is that men should be able to understand that they should talk each to other to stop this women abuse, because they cannot listen to what women say when they complain. So maybe, not maybe, for sure, a man can understand what a man says about that. And then all the countries, all nations are going to be stronger economically, financially, because all the countries will have both men and women participate.
Thank you so much, Lady. We have a last initiative, is Woman for Woman. They are partnering with the Australian Embassy. Gillian, if you can share some words on this initiative, please.
Yes, thank you. It's a group we're trying. It's really for expatriate women. So it's to help. It's a really good initiative here in France, to be able to help those who are expatriate women who maybe don't know how to access French system and French support. French system has excellent support, but it's helping them navigate the French system. So it's really reaching out to expatriate women who may not know how to make their way around the French system. And in fact, I'm recording a little video about this tomorrow with the founder of Women for Women. So follow me on social media and you'll get the full story. So thank you.
Perfect. So we reached to the end of this session and our webinar. Thank you so much to all the speakers and all the audience. Please just stay tuned, because next month we will have an event and we post it on the social network. So if we can just raise our hand for the last screenshot, please. and get a smile for everyone. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
And have
much.
a good evening.
Thank you. Bonsoir. Au revoir.
Thank you so
Bonsoir.
much.
Good night, everybody.
Au revoir l'Australie.
Ouais.
Nice to-
Thank
Au
you.
revoir tout le monde. Merci beaucoup. Merci. Bonne soirée. Bon matinée.
Bonsoir.
Au revoir. Merci. Merci.
Medasi.